Hey there, it's Kat. Today, let's talk about the Fool card. I have several versions of the Fool card here. This is what I would consider a fairly traditional interpretation in this Uzi Pagan Otherworlds deck. But I know the interesting thing about the Fool is just the name the Fool can be very triggering because nobody wants to feel like a fool. And that can certainly come up with this card, but this card is much more about that sense of trusting. So, out on your adventures of wandering in this world, um, knowing that things will be provided for you. And those things aren't always positive things, they can just be challenges, but that they do result in positive things, so a challenge can still be a lesson that you needed to learn or something like that. So just to know that that is what this card is about. One of my favorite, I'm going to pull up another one real quick before I continue. So this is the Fool from the Shadowscapes deck, just so beautiful. One of my favorite phrases for the Fool card is beginner's mind, because it's really that place of, with all of the knowledge that we have of life, how can we go out and still trust that we're going to get what we need, what will support us? And I'll show up one. Let me show one more card. This from the Star Tarot. Very different interpretation. The crocodile in the front, all of that. So you'll want to look at your card and see what sort of symbols are there. But when I think about the Fool card, and I'll just hold a couple of these up, I'm always, when I think about beginner's mind too, it's that sense of how can we go out and be trusting? And one way to do that is just to step out, and just to go out and see what comes. And if you have expectations of things needing to be provided for you, you might get smacked. I mean, smackdown can happen at any time, in all honesty. But I think of myself a lot of times of going, there's certain things that I don't like to trust on, that I like to carry with me, literally, because it gives me a sense of safety and security, a little bit more different confidence. So anyone who knows me knows I carry a giant bottle of water. And look, I have it next to me right now. Is, this these characters aren't carrying much with them. They're just trusting, like, if I need water, it'll be there. If I need food, it'll be there. I mean, at a certain point, we don't want to become this giant turtle where we're carrying everything that we need with us. I mean, just get extreme with yourself for a minute. I mean, we're not talking about backpacking out in the wilderness. I'm talking about just going out in your day-to-day life, of how much stuff do you actually need to carry with you? Can we just trust that things will be okay, that you will have the tools and the skills that you need to navigate? I know I like to have reusable bags with me and all of these types of things, but at a certain point, you have to draw a line, and if you're a mom with little ones, yeah, you might always have to have the snack with you and stuff like that. So there's certain things that we've learned in life to not trust, not take for granted, or just go, it wasn't comfortable when I was without that thing. But when you start thinking about that, like spiritually or more emotionally, metaphysically, of like, how much stuff do we need to carry with us? So when I get the Fool card, I check in on, what is smart to carry. As mom, it's smart to have snacks or a little toy, diapers, things like that. I have found it smart for me to have water. When I don't have water, like, weird things happen, and I've tested it several times. I'm like, I just would much rather have the water, with me. So we'll each have our own little things like that. But do we have to have the armor, the masks? Do we have to have all of that stuff? Like, you just got to feel into it and see, can you let some of that stuff go and just surrender and be a little bit more vulnerable, and trusting that you will be able to handle and react to whatever comes up. There can definitely be this sense of freedom to the Fool. I mean, that's why I do love this card with all of the birds coming in and just going, like, do you take that step? Do you trust, oh, they've got me, And that sense of there's so many times in life where we have to take steps and go, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean, a lot of people say leap and the net will appear. Well, that would also mean that you've fallen and there might not be a net, or maybe it'll grow some wings, or maybe it will quote unquote be a failure, but then it will be such an amazing lesson and you'll develop a lot more courage and be willing to get up and try again. And each time you learn to get up faster. So the Fool is also a lot about that resilience of going, I don't know. I just can't pre-know. I mean, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's no pre-knowing how things are going to pan out. We couldn't pre-anticipate this point in time, you know. Some people are trying to, but most of us, you know, weren't thinking that way. So at a certain point, you don't want to do so much strategizing about what's ahead and oh my gosh, and here's exactly how I'll navigate it. You know, some preparation can be helpful, but the Fool is much more like, all right, you know, I'll be able to respond to what comes up. It's a lot about being adaptable. I do think it's important with the Fool card. I talk about this actually with many cards because I think this message comes up again and again, is to be true to yourself. Align with your values and just go, am I showing up as myself? You know, can I be true to myself with whatever comes up in the world? You know, what helps me feel more that way? Do we always want to walk around with a security blanket? Sometimes, yes, that's me with my water bottle. It's essentially a security blanket. You know, it's not that I don't trust there's not water out in the world. I just don't like if I'm having to scramble for such a very basic need and function and desire. It makes me feel a little bit insecure on that survival level. I'd much rather have a bunch of water with me, you know, like, or a bottle of water with me. I don't have to have like a whole backpack of water with me, than to suddenly get thirsty. And now my focus is only about being thirsty and where am I going to get water next, you know? So I just thought, no, this allows me, having a little bit of water with me allows me to be actually much more open to what comes, what opportunities arise. I'm not obsessing in my head on these little things that I'm having to tune in about. So I think the Fool's message is a lot about like what will give you that sense of freedom, of heading out into the world and willing to see what comes. You know, so many times we go out in the world and we're like, I know exactly where I'm going. I have this specific agenda. I have this specific timeline, all of that. And how can we even build in a little bit of space to allowing for some wandering, allow for some magic, to see what comes? It's, you know, definitely a card of stop and smell the roses. And a lot of Fool cards, you know, he is holding a rose. And so, you know, I love this literal thing that's going on in this card of this guy out for an adventure. It looks like he's getting ready to walk right off of a cliff. We don't know. Are there stairs? Is he going to turn around? Who knows? He's got a little companion, a small bag of things, not very much stuff, you know, so just whatever he felt was enough of a priority to support him for whatever journey he's going on. We don't even know for how long. And he's also carrying a rose, so prioritizing that sense of beauty and simple pleasures, that it doesn't all have to just be about survival stuff. How can we make space for that? You know, how can we have companions along with us on this journey, you know, and just that type of feel. Now, each card, you know, as I say, it's very different in each deck. Like this one, not only do we have this crocodile, but we have this little crow friend here, lots of like moon and star blessings. This card with all of the information that I've given could also just be like, depending on the spread of how it comes up and what sort of question that you've asked, like maybe it is just going out for a walk at night, you know, and just being willing to trust that you don't have to have a flashlight, can just sort of work with that magic and just see what it's like to walk with the ambient light that's outside. You know, I mean, that type of thing. Like you can read these cards in many different ways, but the Fool is an invitation to wander and to build in some of that open, um, just that openness within yourself, that curiosity, that willing to see wonder in the world, and to have that beginner's mind, that childlike state of mind of going, I don't actually know what's going to happen. I mean, I might know where I'm going, but I don't know what's going to happen on the way there. And to not be so programmed in routine in life, to like really let it open up. So in many of my other videos, I've talked about when I teach tarot, one of the things is this wheel that tarot happens in cycles of 10. And the Fool is the number 0. It's like the cosmic egg. It's filled with potential. It's outside of that cycle of 1 to 10. So the Fool is a separate card, a separate entity. It can literally represent you, in a spread. If it comes up, that sense of, you know are you this wanderer, and then the other cards are interacting with the Fool. The Fool can be seen as the one who's going on the journey of the tarot, experiencing all of these things. And even after going through all of the cards, all of the major arcana and the highlights and the schooling and all of that, and then the shadow journey with all of its challenges, and then all of the other experiences of the minor arcana, still coming back and going, well, do I technically know any more than I did? It's not really. I mean, you do have more wisdom. And so that's the nice thing too, is that even though the Fool has this simplicity to it, each time you come back around to it, there's a new level of wisdom, and you can kind of reset and go, I'm willing to go on this journey again. And this journey can just be moment to moment, every day, of re-choosing and going, I'm willing to do this again. I want to do it. I'm curious to see what happens, because life just keeps surprising me. This journey through the tarot, which, there's symbols of life and different things that we encounter, is it like that willingness? I'm just curious as to what will unfold, because it's never gone exactly the way that I expected. So then once we can start releasing expectations, being a little bit more, Buddhist about it, whatever sort of thing that you want to call on, where you can just go, right, how can I surrender, release the grasp, the gripping, the expectations, and be open with curiosity and still moving forward. I mean, the Fool is sometimes called the wanderer, the journeyman, the seeker. There's different decks can use different names for it, but that sense of call on that type of energy of going, this isn't just a sit and stay and see what comes. It's going out and adventuring and see what comes. And there can be facets of that of, well, what are you offering? Because there's always the aspect of the mirror, that sometimes if we're not getting what we want because we haven't been able to release that idea of expectations, well, maybe we aren't putting out there that which would get mirrored back to us. So that's that sense of the cosmic egg, the Ouroboros, that number 0, of all of that potential that's in even that symbol alone, without even interpreting what's on the images, of like, you can gather a lot from that. Sit with that. Let me know what you think. And I have some more videos that are about specific individual cards, just to sort of help with that exploration. But my main mode of teaching that I do with my girlfriend, Rachel Lazarus, is about intuitive tarot readings. So in our more advanced classes, we do deep dives into the cards and bring in other tools. But, we want to teach you to rely on what you're seeing in the cards and trusting that those messages are valid. In so many ways, there's no knowing the cards, but I try to have these videos because it's fun to kind of start awakening what you're seeing there and talk about some of the energetics and the vibe of it. But these are not set in stone. I want you to explore what's in your card. If you have any questions, let me know, but I'm also open to your insights as well, because these videos are just for me geeking out. I love talking about tarot and having it be more of a conversation if possible. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in future videos. And you can also check out my other work at tamingthetangle.com. Have a great day.